Good evening and welcome once again to Straight from the Sky. I'm your talk show host, Bobit Avila. Today's special presentation on Straight from the Sky will bring you an incident that happened 48 years ago. So if you're only 48 years old, you were just born. And that's the time that we celebrate the declaration of martial law, which happens today. So it is really something to talk about. And I had a little problem looking for guests who were already past that age. So I got my classmate, former general of the PNP, Maning Cabigon, who is the brightest in our class 66 in the University of San Carlos, and my good friend, Manny Rabacal, who was also with me in the Regional Development Council and a very prolific journalist and broadcaster. And so it's going to be a very interesting show tonight. So we'll be back with them after this break.
Sumuko na! Hindi ako suko! Sumuko na! Hindi ako suko! Sumuko ka na!
Tagal. Parang internet mo. Get the Sky Fiber Super Speed plans. Up to 200 Mbps for fiber fast days. Switch to Sky Fiber. Ay, may lag. Parang internet mo? Get the Sky Fiber Super Speed plans. Up to 200 Mbps for fiber fast days. Switch to Sky Fiber.
Thank you for staying with us. It's really a great honor and a pleasure to have two gentlemen who were born more than 48 years ago when martial law was declared. And before we go into the main topic, let's go to what these people have done during those times. So let's start first, age according to beauty, with Manny Rabacal. Manny, what were you doing 48 years ago and beyond?
Yes, I was with ABS-CBN when martial was declared. As a matter of fact, I was handling my morning program. And then finally, I got wind of something big happening in Manila. So, because we had SSB, single sideband, connected to Manila and all other branches of ABS-CBN, we called, and our Manila office was, nobody answered from the Manila office end, but somebody from Bacolod, Rino Basilio, who was our sort of brand manager, answered, and he said, "Relax lang, something's happening, pakputol," and then nothing more. And, we were already wondering, we wanted to get in touch with people who in the know. As a matter of fact, there was even a Muslim, Cesar Mangilin, something like that we wanted to get in touch with. But, he could not answer us already, so I was already wondering. I said, I think something is happening. So that's that. I end the program. At noon time, there was a communication from the
Head office.
no from Camp Serious Mania, PC Pacaneto, PCINP.
Yes.
From the office of Colonel Amor, because when martial law was declared,
He
Amor
was
was
still a
only a
colonel.
colonel.
Yes.
Colonel Luis Amor. So there was a communication to our station manager, Jess Vestil. Jess Vestil was my station manager. I was the anchor for radio and television. I was handling the World Tonight and news and also Newsbreak. And then he wants to be interviewed. So we summoned the members of the National Press Club. Cebu Press Club. And there was an interview. And General Moore said, no, there's not going to be any martial law. And, just relax. But, the next day, we already heard that martial law was declared. And kami na may tagstag sa mga pusil na aming pigeonhole. Ingon na akong manager, ay na nagkuha ang inyong mga pusil na ibili na nas pigeonhole. And the first curfew was at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock in the evening was the first curfew. So that's that. Moto'y ako ang start sa pag-martial law. And by the way, I wanted to mention this, Bobit. I have not really mentioned our relationship. Kinis Bobit is a very good friend. We were together in almost all endeavors. As a matter of fact, when that was also my first time going to
abroad.
Singapore, going abroad.
Yeah.
Kita I mean, Bobit, together with some press guys were with us. And we were together in one room, kay double sharing man to sa Singapore. And then, istorya mi about our life. And then, from then on, si Bobit became the chairman of the Infrastructure Development Committee of the Regional Development Council, Central Visayas. I was under him. I was a member of the RDC-IDC. And after his term, after 3 years, I don't know, he didn't run for because this is an election, he didn't run for re-election. And I was elected to replace him. So I became the IDC chairman. And when he was appointed by Mayor Tommy Guzmania to head the CITOM, kaming Tommy, di man kami, at that time we didn't see eye to eye. When Paul Villaretti said nga, join na mo ni Bobit, kaya gustong Bobit nga, mo join ka sa CITOM, the three of us. Ako niya, ma-apply ko. Dili pala niya na-aprobahan ni mayor niya. Mura ko buang. Ingon niya na siya, apply, wala ko, pagkauwa ko. Anyway, but I don't know what you did. I was taken in as one of the members of the board by CITOM. Bobit was our chairman. And so many things, no? Kami ni Bobit, hapit-hapit tanan nga mga, kami yun pirmi mo, I'm always with him. Kung dili siya chair, ako'y member, niya pag chair ako, member po siya. Ganana. That's how close we are. Ang nahitabo lang is, naputol tong among closeness is because siya golf naman niya, batulata naman nga tuwa. Big bike na niya, kita wag ito, bisikleta. Kuya na niya. So, nakapi-kapi na lang ko. Siya is with other friends.
Okay,
That's
so Manny, Tell us about your con after our class 66.
Right after our graduation from high school, I went to college. And right after graduation also, I taught for 1 year at the University of San Carlos, but it was at USC Girls High. But a year later, I joined the armed forces, so I was commissioned in the Philippine Constabulary. So when martial law was declared, I was just a year in my service, and I was a young lieutenant, and I cannot mention the adjective for a young lieutenant before. So I was assigned in Leyte Sur. So when martial law was declared, I was on patrol. Let's say a seaborne patrol. So I had no inkling that martial law was declared, but when it was declared, knowing Leyte Sur is a laid-back province.
Yes.
So there was I think there was no uproar about martial law there because
There were no incidents in
there was
Southern
no,
Leyte.
There were no incidents because
It's a very peaceful place.
very peaceful place.
Yeah.
So the only time I had about dealings with martial law was when I came over to Cebu. I was assigned here already, sometime in 1973.
You know, in my case, on September 2, my brother and I went to the United States. Kay mura tog regalo, kay ni-graduate na Miss College. Regalo to sa kong papa, ang oyang purpose is to let us go to New York and get our eldest brother who was now working in the UN. So, we were driving towards Washington, D.C. Minaw ka radyo, kay marami na niya ito, nana sila FM. Then, muna, Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos declares martial law in the Philippine Islands. So, pag abot na mo sa sa motel lang among puyan, inigdial na mo sa kanang operator, I'm sorry, the Philippines is closed. So, for the whole time, siguro mga 1 week, every time you dial, mingon din, I'm sorry, the Philippines is closed. Hindi man prekaron makadial ka diretso. But in those days, finally, after 1 week, my father answered the phone. Dito ko tawag sa Oriente Theater. Nga, sa daddy nga, anti-Marcos sa to, sige, ingon, gwapo kay Marcelo, porting gwapuha. Ingon rin ko, kasi lang, naipulis mong kilid. Kaya, mura maka-praise, and cannot believe my own father was now praising Marcelo. And I joined actually a rally near the Philippine Embassy. So ko kay kong brother nga nung ni-join ko. Pero nakuan lang ko ba kay join betag mga rally-rally niya to against Marcos. Nahibuong lang ko nga ang nagdaas microphone, bland nga Amerikana. Tingin ko, hay naman yung Pilipino nga aktivista. Kay matanaw ko sa newspaper, it talks about martial law, pero wagi istorya about martial law. And in fact, when I went to the UN, dool man na sa kanang Waldorf Astoria, the Philippine flag was hanging. Gidool na ko ng billman. Ko, why is the Philippine flag hanging? Oh, your foreign secretary is here, Carlos P. Romulo, to explain about martial law in your country. Muna, pag-explain ni Carlos Romulo sa UN about martial law, he practically defended Marcos. And I was kanabitang nakulapso ko nga, sus, wa da looy da kayong Pilipino nga here comes Marcos declaring martial law nga kibaw bitang tanan nga why rason. I mean, the Philippines had an insurgency, and this is what you call an insurgency that was not as big as it is today. Kay pila ra may kuan nilang Jose Maria season. So, for me, martial law was niuli ko after by December, after September, December ko niuli. Kaya nga no, I said to myself, why should I be in the US? Because gitagaan tagog political asylum. But I said, kung nibilin ko dito man, awa dyan ko ma-journalist tingali. So that is really something that we could talk about and we'll continue talking about how martial law was declared. And we'll be back with our guest after this break. Please don't go away.
Ay, may lag. Parang internet mo? Get the Sky Fiber Super Speed Plans. Up to 200 Mbps for fiber fast days. Switch to Sky Fiber. Bagal kasi. Parang internet mo? Get the Sky Fiber Super Speed Plans. Up to 200 Mbps for fiber fast days.
Ako single.
Switch to Sky Fiber.
Thank you for staying with us. So my next question will be, what do you think happened that forced Ferdinand Marcos to declare martial law? What triggered it?
Well, since I was a young lieutenant, I was practically in limbo about the reason for the declaration of martial law. But from what I have known is that there was a wave of terrorism or what, involving some personalities.
See, in really, katong iyang
Yes,
supposed to be kanang ambush.
So I think that's one of the reasons that we came to know. But practically, since I was a young lieutenant, I did not know. I had no inkling what were the reasons for it.
Come on.
I think it's insurgency, really. You know, even in media, ang mga taga-media, labi ng mga bata noon, hapit tanan, walhon.
Bitaw, that's
They're
really
always,
true.
Yes. They're always talking about MDF. They're talking about Communist Party of the Philippines. And then, mo join na og teach-ins. Grabe kayo. Grabe. I mean, I was not part of them. But madungga na nimo niya. Wala, open kayo. Open kayo discussion about communism. Open kayo mga teach-ins. And if you talk about media already joining in the fray, I mean, this is something. I mean, panalitag sila lang ka ng mga peasants and so on and so forth. Okay lang. But media, oh my God, they're supposed to be knowledgeable about the situation. Unya, mag-appeal-appeals lagi yun na. Lisod kayo. At that time, grabe ang infiltration sa left ngadto sa atuang sakop sa media.
I totally agree with you, Manny. Especially, para nako, one of the reasons that martial law was declared was the August 21, 1971 Plaza Miranda bombing. That bombing was what you call the political party kanang rally proclamation of the Liberal Party. Then daghang kay naangol including si Sanay Osmeña, but the main character who was supposed to be there was supposed to be Senator Ninoy Aquino. But that's why they say that he was friendly with Jose Maria Sison because he was warned not to go. So whether that's true or not, it's never been what you call. But I have a book here, as I said. This is the book of Bobby Tiglao that really gives a whole information of what happened in 1971. Marcos at that time nga there was the Vietnam War and other problems. Hadlok ang Amerikano nga we become like the domino, mga tagak into communism. And the Philippines was ripe because imagine ang mga media, paranas media sa Amerika karon, most of them are already Marxist. Ang mainstream media, you cannot believe.
Yeah.
Ang kanang Washington Post, ang New York Times, kaya di kagato mga editors nila Marxist. So, that's why kanang story ni Trump karon nga nakahimo siya og peace between the United Arab Emirates and Israel. Wa mo headline sa CNN or sa New York Times. You can just imagine what's wrong because they hate Trump. So kana niadto sa sakto na imong mani nga puro lagi ang media mo dapig sa walhon sa mga komunista because they have been infiltrated. And I think what happened was Marcos saw an opportunity that he would be with the United States. If he declares martial law, the Americans will not throw him out. And that's the reason. Para na ako, ambot lang ninyo, sa inyo na muna.
I think so, yes. Kay Marcos is, ingon ginato nga pro-American. And siya mo'y tao sa America.
Correct. Oh.
Hindi sa in this part of this world. Og as a matter of fact, doon ay kinsa itong mga presidente ka na ito nga high praises kayo ni Presidente Marcos.
Oh.
So, until murag wa na gyud magwanta, it's all about corruption, not about rebellion or insurgency. So, mao na nga ang akong pagtanaw kanadto, grabe kayo because ako na ning isumpay. Sa diyang na declare ng martial law, kami, Lopez lagi mi, kay ABS-CBN. Sige, may atake Marcos. Sunod-sunurong para mong tingog ni Marcos. So, pag declare of martial law, inko, nayayay na tani. So, katong ilang gingon nga, inigdakop ni mo, di nakapapangutanon, di nakapadugayon, karga ka diretso, at tunay ka stockade. So, sa combag, ako nang giandam na ako mga sinina, toothpaste, toothbrush, and everything that unon.
The ASO arrest.
Na dayon.
Wala
So,
pa yung aso kinadto.
Aso na to?
No, during the time of 1972, there was no aso yet.
Wa pa ba?
Wala pa.
Unya, ang nitabo was kining dito gini ato nako. Kita nako sa mandawi ko puyo, kita nako unahan. Uy, chocolate ang PC Jeep. Padung ko, patay na. Kuha na ko, andam na ko. di pa Mikaela ni Sergeant Ricamora o Sergeant Rostila, imbitaron ko nung kanikuan, invite man ito ni Colonel Villarin, Cesar. Kami Cesar Villarin, suod kami mag-inom ka dito, before martial law.
Yeah.
Kaming Colonel Tomas Manlongas, But, during that time, bisag ultimo ang magsirsir na kagmayo, bisag ultimo pa ang ranggo. Pag-abot dito, gibutang ko sa kwarto sa office ni Villarin, dito karong usa, may tao. Wa man dito si Colonel niya. At tubangan ako, for your eyes only, ka na mga confidential, ba? Kuyawa. Patay na ko. After mga 30-45 minutes, abot si Villarin. Sa pre, gipari ko na yun ko, Sir, wala kong tawag ko, pari mo tayo magtanong. Sir, na ako ikon mo, kumenta ko sugot ka, kung saan man, di mo unti kag media consultant. Pero tingay di ko kapon, way bayad. So, nahimo kong media consultant, si Jess Vestil, o si Gudo Roperos.
Yeah, Roperos.
Kami mo
Who eventually went to Philippine ko, no? Si Roperos.
Si Roperos sa Manila Times.
So that's why, if you think about it, ang kanibitaong, ako, if there was inuntalang nakabiktima ko sa martial law, I used to be what you call a gun enthusiast. And I have a lot of guns in my paparador. Because anyway, the brother of my mother was Colonel Maning Sigura. And he was also PC at the time.
Yeah.
And isalig jud ko. So, since I was in New York at that time, I would write him a letter. Kocho, I have a lot of firearms in my aparador with a false false nga takob. And he said, ako nalay kuan. So, gitagaan ako sa akong mama nga, ang akong silbing liabi sa akong padlak. And we surrendered all my arms. Carbine, shotgun, sa patong mga armas ako, mga pistola. So, ingon ko, Cho, paresibo ha. So, pag uli na ko, gitagaan ko niya resibo. Niya katong there was a colonel kitsa to, nga dito na siya nag-opisina sa Hayalay. Kanang Hayalay ni adto, tanang mga Colonel Diego Mtito, ang iyang kuan.
Major mo siya, Major.
Major, Ang iyang,
under to siya ni Fronda.
correct, Ang iyang mga kapriso dito sa Hayalay, tanang mga prostitutes. Tanang prostitutes kay ni gidaman akong resibo when Chumaning gave me. And I went to Hayalay and I tried to collect. Hay man akong pusil. I'd like to know what you did. Now, nigawas ng tinuray, gibaligya aday sa military. Muna ingon dito gibaligya sa Vietnam. Muna ingon lagi nga martial law was not good in that sense nga gigamit sa military ang ilang gahom at that time. Lahi gyud sa karong panahon na everybody sa atong generation were scared of martial law. And here comes a new guy named President Rodrigo Duterte, who was never afraid to call martial law. And he declared martial law in Mindanao. And people our age, especially the former leftists in Nontalang, still attack Duterte. And a lot of people in Mindanao were so happy that Duterte declared martial law, especially after what happened to the city of Marawi.
Yeah.
So,
And Zamboanga also.
yes, so what really happened was a very good way of President Duterte declaring martial law. And I would like to believe that if Marcos declared martial law only on areas that had an insurgency problem, then Marcos would have been considered a great president. And we'll be back with our guest after this break. Please don't go away.
first song. Thank you.
Bilis maka-sound trip. Ganyan sa Sky Fiber Super Speed Plans.
For today's look,
Bilis makaganda. Ganyan sa Sky Fiber Super Speed Plans.
LU pare.
Bilis maka-vacay. Ganyan sa Sky Fiber Super Speed Plans.
Thank you for staying with us. We're now halfway with the show talking about the 48th anniversary of the declaration of martial law. And we're with our good friends, Manny Rabacal of ABS-CBN then at that time, and karon CCTN. Dagan kayo siyang mga positions. And of course, my classmate, former General of the PNP, Maning Cabigon. And yeah, I'm only talking to these two gentlemen because after all, we were already born when martial law was declared. And so we'd like to continue this discussion. Maning, you were saying about what happened in other areas nga wa gay masuwat newspaper.
Ang nahitabo ko dito sa Leyte Sur, the capital of which is Maasin, was I was called to the office of the provincial commander, and he told me, you go to San Francisco Town, which is located in the island of Panaon.
Yeah, Banaon.
He said that you tell the mayor there to restore the color of the flag to blue.
Gibali.
Gibali may into red. And then he gididaan niya ang mga tao na makasulog gawas sa San Francisco Town.
Buanga.
Oh, then nagsuna-suna sa iya. Then all other mayors did the same. So I had to go from town to town telling them that why order nga baliho ng flag, why order nga magsuna-suna mo.
Buanga.
There's still pre-access. Naalay curfew, but wala ingon nga ang mga tao did an pag-travel.
Well, you know, at that time, in fairness to the police, di man sila abusado. Ang abusado actually ang military. Because tagiya mamig sini, katong si Major Diego ito nga musud na siya sinihan, nya magdag plus light kay kisay gadit, ilang ipadakop. Kanang maghawk-hawk ka dito sa luyo.
Yeah.
Ila dakpo niya.
In collaboration with the Citizens Media Council.
Oh, mo lagi. Wala lagi kuan ba nga stricto kay sila sa supposed to be morality sa tao. But sila mismo, as I said, dito silang opisina sa Highlighto, dito tanang mga prostitute, gidakop nila. So, I'm sure, gipanghatag dito nilang mga bisita. These are things that happened in martial law that I'm sure a lot of people who are already 50 natin ngayon karon have not really, seen this happen to the Philippines.
Yeah, during martial law, because as what I said, I was hired as a media consultant of the 3rd PC Zone. I was handling the radio program, katawanan kay tanan. Ang akong base is DYHP. Hook up sa tanang radio station all over the Visayas. If talk about Visayas, Region 6, Region 7 and 8. Binisaya ang ako ang
Cebuano,
format dire. Unya, Masbate, Romblon. Apil mo itong Masbate, Romblon.
Part pa to sa...
Unya, in Karimerkules, TV. Ako kaya po yung nagda. So, every day ng radyo. And what's good with that, kay ako mong mo nga, murag na infiltrated naman ang media with the left. Doon na na'y accreditation sort of ang zone. Kung kinsay mga media nga magka-cover, no? As a matter of fact, it's not really coverage because kami may maghimo sa balita. Ang among balita is based on the reports and kalain-lain nga mga commands. O niya, ihatag na muna, and it's up to them to make the headlines or whatever. So, at least imo nalimpyuhan ang ranks.
Yeah.
Nalimpyuhan imong ranks kay kadtong mga dili lang kay mga leftist, kanang kanang mga blackmailers and so on and so forth. Tingkagol naman. Na prison na sa akin naman. So, muna nga, ingon ko nga, limpyo. Mubita ng imo tingay papa, imong daddy, nga dinaig pa guys martial law because zero criminality.
Tinood yun.
Hindi ito.
Wanay hold up. Wanay kawat.
Roses ka na to, Chino Roses.
Correct.
Pertig yung daigas martial law. Hapit tanan ni daigas martial law.
That's really true. Because martial law was not, people really thought martial law was going to be a very ugly
Just like in
military.
South America.
Yeah, but lain manggod ang resulta, especially to peaceful places like Cebu. Wa kayo siya mga negative. Maybe in some areas, wa man newspaper, wa man TV, pero at least wa makpan. Pero kini bitawng mustadi ka. For instance, before martial law was declared, there was an issue which now written by Bobby Tiglao about the Jabida massacre. The Jabida massacre was the one exposed by Ninoy nga gahimo si Marcos og special troops to attack Sabah or Sandakan. And napatyan as mga 18 kabuk, there was a incident kuno si Martilino, Colonel Martilino. Oh, and then Bobby Tiglao wrote this, that Ninoy went to Holo. And when he went to Holo, gada siyang media, kag-expect siyang mga biyuda sa mga gipatay nga sundao would go to him. But nobody went to him. So in the end, he wrote an article, which I also wrote, about the Jabida massacre was like fake news at that time. Ngano gidaot mo ganyas Marcos. Muna ako, mutuo ko that Marcos declared martial law. Because 1972, after that, remember, 73 na, maghimo kanang eleksyon. Nya sa election, si Ninoy would be running already against Marcos.
Yeah.
So, martial law, hadlok naman si Marcos nga because of what happened, gibrey man siya sa Plaza Miranda bombing. They think that Marcos would lose against Ninoy Aquino. And grabe naman kailang mga fake propaganda. So nahitabo was that Marcos declared martial law for his purpose was really to prolong his presidency. I think mo na ikaw man.
Yes, yes, of course. Because kanasan noon, ako nagtuusap ko nga with the approval of the United States. Because you cannot just do that without the approval of the United States.
Correct. Oh.
And kaya ba ang United States, how infiltrated the Philippines is sa mga communists, so isugot ang Amerika. And as a matter of fact, even during martial law, daig pa Amerika sa Pilipinas. And hapitan na lang yung mga tao. Ang mga critics of Marcos, nidaig sila sa pamaagi sa martial law. Until murag migrabe ang corruption.
Yes.
I don't know, ang ilang gipasangin lang sa corruption is the First Lady. Wa tay proof nga na, but muna ilang giingon, no? But whatever it is, kung Marcos was not sick and he was in control, tingalig manindot, padayon ta tingali to niyang kanindot sa martial law. But he was no longer
He was no longer in power.
Yeah,
Wala na.
Kaya he had a kidney problem.
Tanan. Tagkana siya.
Actually, ang problema was lupus. Niya si Bongbong donated his kidney to his father. Pero awa magsilbi. Kay lupus man gyud ang sakit niya. But at the end of the day, when EDSA revolution was declared, I was one of the first. I had a flight to Manila. I was one of the first to go to Malacanang. Gada pag ko si case. Diretso ko sa Malacanang, kay gusto dyo kong tanaw sa dito. Kita dyo ko sa mga kanang mga shoes na Imelda. Nya kita ko siyang hospital bed. Nya, hindi ni butong grenade dito sa grounds. Makaingon dyo ka ba nga, martial law was over practically because of EDSA revolution. But unfortunately, the EDSA revolution has lost its meaning, has lost its, what you call, its luster. Kaya nga no, as my boss, Max Sullivan, told me, we had a revolution, but we did not finish it. That's really true. So, muna yung lagi man nga, if you think about martial law has taught us, ikaw maning, unsa may mong nakat-on ang martial law? What have you personally learned?
Personally, I think because I was in the law enforcement side,
Yeah.
so mostly my concern was just about the violations of the law.
Yeah.
But with regards to the implementation of martial law, I did not have any hand on it, or with regards to the decisions affecting them, because I was just in the law enforcement side.
Yeah. Mubo pa kag ranggo din
Yeah,
at that
so-
time. You're not a decision maker.
No, I was not.
Yeah.
But all my experiences, ako mga kasinatian kinadto was, as Manny De Los Santos here said, really favorable, especially sa peace and order. But as to other matters, I did not have any experience with regards to that.
Well, Manny, unsa may mong kasukuan?
Ang ako rin nakita is martial law, labi na gyud og well-meaning ang leader nga mo impose martial law. Must be a strong leader. Physically, mentally. Kay og panalitan, Marcos was mentally strong, physically strong. Di pa siya masakiton. Tingali, no? Kay
He would have lifted-
Nganong pagsugod maayman.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, ang ako nakita sa martial law is, ang intention maybe is okay, but kinahanglan ang leader is prepared for the worst, no?
Yes.
And he must be prepared physically and mentally
Yeah.
sa iyang atubangon. Kay, kini man gud abnormal man gud ang martial law.
Correct.
So, ang mga tao, di man gustong yung eleksyon. Di ba, mga tao, eleksyon mga gusto. But ako nakita diha nga, it would have been better kung ang martial law ng padayon pareho ni atong pagsugod.
Amen. That's really true. And we'll be back with our guests for our final set after this break. Please don't go away.
Huwag mo siyang pakasalan!
Bagal kasi. Parang internet mo? Get the Sky Fiber Super Speed Plans. Up to 200 Mbps for fiber fast days.
Ako single.
Switch to Sky Fiber.
Free man, bye!
First song. Thank you.
Bilis maka-sound trip. Ganyan sa Sky Fiber Super Speed Plans.
For today's look,
Bilis makaganda. Ganyan sa Sky Fiber Super Speed Plans.
LU pare.
Bilis maka-vacay. Ganyan sa Sky Fiber Super Speed Plans.
The theory of decreasing responsibility explains how your life insurance needs change over time. In the early years, you may need a lot of life insurance coverage, but in the later years, you may not. In the early years, when you're younger, you don't have a lot of money, but in the later years, you'd better have money. How does this fit with your insurance needs? Today, when you're young, loss of income due to a premature death would be devastating. Your children are young and you might have high debt and a house mortgage. Your need for insurance is highest at this time. When you get older, retirement income is needed. Your children are grown, your debts are lower, and your mortgage is paid. If you have savings, you are self-insured, diminishing your needs for insurance. That's the theory of decreasing responsibility. By having life insurance when your financial responsibilities are the greatest, you can have peace of mind knowing your family's future is protected.
Thank you for staying with us. So, last question that's very important would be, will President Duterte declare martial law supposed to be add more years into his term? This is what many yellow tards have been saying in their Facebook account or social media. Maning?
Personally, I would not speculate on it. Kaya sa akong tanaw, Duterte is not very keen on declaring martial law. He is a lawyer, he was a prosecutor during his prior to his term as mayor of Davao City. And the guy is a very simple man.
Correct.
I would not want to speculate that he would become megalomaniac when it comes to power, that he would want to prolong iyang stay in Malacanang. In fact, he's so tired now. But I think he might even go earlier.
People think that he was sick already.
Yes, but there is no reason to believe that he will declare martial law. Wala.
For a political
Yes, wala.
reason like Marcos.
Wala.
Maning?
Para nako, if ever, not martial law, revolutionary government. Mom gina akong gihuna-huna pirmi ka na ito, katong labi na gyud ka ni sulbong pagbalik ng issue about revolutionary government. That will only happen kung he is, as what I said earlier, he is mentally and physically prepared. But I don't think he is physically prepared. He might not be sickly, but yan naman ang isulti kung siya mga sakit, o unya, kapoy na sad siya. No? Pero ang tingalig, ang issue sa kakapoy, o ang pagtanaw niya sa kaayuhan sa nasod, mag-away na, and then nagtanaw siya nga, og pananglitag di siya mudagan ang mudaog nga presidente nga mupuli niya dili na makagiya sa katawhan sama sa iyang gihimo sa mga programa niya nga anti-drugs, anti-criminality, anti-corruption, tingalig mapugos siya, but not martial law. If ever, revolutionary government.
Well, you know, I wrote against revolutionary government because of all the, what you call, the reasons for the declaration of a revolutionary government was a reason that I believe in, and it's called federalism. But, you know, federalism as envisioned by me and many of our fellow Filipinos is a constitutional, what you call, a declaration by the Constitution. Now, 1935 Constitution, we did not have any federal, and to think that was a constitution under the Philippine Commonwealth, and we were under America at that time, which we did not even take what you call federalism at that time. The second constitutional convention was the 73, which was actually ongoing when martial law was declared. And Marcos supposed to be hijacked it. And he did what is supposed to be right, declaring the Philippines as a parliamentary government. Yeah. Unfortunately, Marcos did not declare a full-term parliamentary government in the sense that he was president and Cesar Birata was the prime minister. But a prime minister without any portfolio or any power for that matter. So that was really a, what you call, a parliamentary government that did not handle it well. But what happened was when EDSA was declared and Cory Aquino came into power and she declared the Freedom Constitution, what happened was she called for a constitutional convention by 49 people. I'm saying 49 kay ngano, 50 matato sila. The 50th guy was supposed to be my boss, Max Oliven. But he called me to Manila, and I had to talk with him. He said, should I accept this? And I said, look, you're a journalist. There are, 49 other people who may have ideas that you don't like. But at the end of the day, when the Constitution is approved, you have to defend it as a journalist. So are you willing to do that? Moto ni wa niya dawata. So here comes Cory Aquino in a, what you call, having a freedom constitution, declaring a constitutional amendment, and became the 1987 Constitution. You know, if you recall, Manny, pag 73 Constitution, that was ratified. I was in Camp Serious Minya. Di ko kalimot, kuwig sa mga amigo na ko, nga, dito may kay supposed to be na meeting. Oh, it turned out nga na military, kay martial law palagi, ni sakas the stage. Kinsay, wa pa kapaniod to, raise your hands. Raise mintanan sa among kamot. Pero, the next day, nigawa sa Freeman, 73 Constitution has been approved by the people of Cebu. Muna, binoang. In the same manner, the 87 Constitution was ratified by this slogan, yes to Cory, no to a Constitution.
Oh, really?
How will you with the right mind, kung mayroong kag no, then you're allowing Cory to become another dictator. So, yes na lang may to Cory. Kaya kung wa 1987 Constitution. So this is what happened to the Philippines. Manny?
Yes, ang ako bagong tanaw diha is, ang ilang gingon, palit lang mag revolutionary government, you have to have a revolution first, and then whoever is the winner will declare a revolutionary government.
Yeah.
But remember, Marcos declared revolution from the center.
Yeah, correct.
Cory Aquino, there was a bloodless revolution, but Cory Aquino is a weak leader. I'm sorry.
Very weak.
He was, pahimuslan siya sa mga taong nag-alirong niya.
Yes,
Muna,
true.
taon siya. He's got, kanang noble intentions. He's got noble intentions, pero ibinuangan. And then, karon, gingon nila, revolutionary government, wa may revolution. Papares ka, Marcos, the revolution from the center. But I don't think, I believe in general, Cabigon nga, I think, kanang kapoy na si President.
Yes, I think Duterte is already retired. 70 plus na good siya. And ako tanaw lang sad nga the revolutionary government cannot really take place unless there is that ingon nimo revolution.
The condition for it.
Yes, you have to create a condition. Now, unsa may makarevolusyon nato, right now, may rason. Election na may gituyo sa mga tao. So, it's going to be an election year, 2 years from now. Then that's the time we will have an election. In fact, I just recently wrote this nga, I think the Philippines should have a little constitutional amendment which should allow the president and the vice president to be voted
Just like the US.
Just like in the US. Kanang usa ka partido ba?
Black voting.
Kaya nahitabo sa Pilipinas, kanang si Robredo, tao man na siya sa Liberal Party. So in the end, she's always against Duterte. Because why? Kung hilom siya, in fact, her latest, pronouncement was that she just wanted to say things. But giatake naman siya karon sa mga netizens nga nag-ingon nga apil biya ka ng gobyerno ha kay gi-elect biya ka kuyog with Duterte. So in the end, mas maayo gyud ang imong vice president para sa Amerika na kuyog mundo ha. Di ba? Kamaning.
With regards to that, I have no say about this kind of a revolutionary government because as you said, wala may condition of a revolution. And there is no reason why the president would also declare a revolutionary government. The conditions are not existing.
You're not existing.
Wala.
Tinood. And I don't think unless something happens, which we cannot predict, I don't think there is such a condition coming because after all, the Philippines has always enjoyed since World War II a peaceful country. We've always been a peaceful country except for the presence of the communists. Ang kanibitang 50 anyos naman ng communist revolution, supposed to be. Mamatay na lang at Joma season. Maybe that's the time hinahinay nagtumba kay ano. Imagine, even in the United States, think about it. There was a year nga, there was what you call the McCarthyism.
Yeah.
Ang mga tao nga magduda sila nga komunista ka, ihaul ka dito Senate for an investigation.
Early 1950s.
In 1950s, yeah, because ang Contras America was really
Communism.
the Soviet Union. And eventually, as the Virgin of, Mary of Fatima declared, was that if we do not, what you call, pray for Russia, Russia will spread her errors. So, unsa may errors sa Russia? Karon, kung imo tanawon, ang Russia is really an Orthodox Christian. Better than America gani. In that sense, sa iyang pagka-Kristiyano. But think about it, ang spread ang error sa Russia na as komunista, the Chinese Communist Party and North Korea. These are what you call the errors of Russia. Unfortunately, we run out of time. We'll be asking our guests for their parting shots after this final break. Please don't go away.
First song. Thank you.
Bilis maka-sound trip. Ganyan sa Sky Fiber Super Speed Plans.
For today's look,
Bilis makaganda. Ganyan sa Sky Fiber Super Speed Plans.
LU pare.
Bilis maka-vacay. Ganyan sa Sky Fiber Super Speed Plans.
Thank you for staying with us. I would like to ask our classmate in Class 66, former General of the PNP, Maning Cabigon, for his parting shots. Maning?
Bobit, for those sa atong mga citizens, especially here in the Visayas, specifically Cebu, I think that the conditions for calling for a political change regarding the change of government, form of government, is still very premature. Because the conditions are not existing. So
Yes.
I would hate to say, I refuse to believe that there will be a change of government again, because we have been changing government every so and then. I think ang mga tao murag kapuyo na ana. So we might as well concentrate na lang sa nation building.
That's true.
That's more I can say. Let the politicians talk about it. The thing is, I think mga tao are not interested. They're not interested. There are only some vested interests that are calling for some changes or what. But even the president has already said, I'm not interested in the so-called revolutionary government. And especially for another declaration of martial law. And as you said, if ever there was a declaration of martial law, which President Duterte did, it was some kind of granular lockdown.
Correct.
So it was declared only for Mindanao because the situation that existed that prevented ang government to exercise its powers and functions as a regular government. So after the conditions disappeared, martial law was eventually recalled.
Yeah.
So it did not affect the entire country. And as you said, I think that was the mistake of Marcos. Well, history will be the judge. I could not be a judge for it.
Correct. Thank you, Maning, for that. Okay, Maning.
Yeah, thank you. BFF, my best friend forever. Bobit, thank you for this opportunity. I hope that our televiewers have been following the conversation, and I hope we have, imparted some information to you nga wa ninyo maabdi labi na karong batanon. And one thing I would like to say is that if the Philippines will only have a strong media, you know, talks about revolution, revolutionary government, martial law, and the like will not prosper. Because ang media gyud importante kayo. So, kinahanglan nga what anang fake news and, you know, stick to the truth. Muna importante kayo, especially karon nga we are not only celebrating the or you call it celebrating, remembering the anniversary of martial law, but also the Press Freedom Week and Month, Broadcasters Month. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you again, Manny Rabacal and Maning Cabigon, for giving us an insight of what happened 48 years ago. I invited them for the simple reason because it's not easy to find people our age who can talk about martial law at a time when we were sitting here so that people can see that what we did at the time was really martial law. But it's different because Marcos declared martial law to extend his political power. This is why if Bongbong runs for president, he will have a problem because people will always remember that. Because if Marcos was really a good president, he would have already cut martial law so that there would be elections. Unfortunately, it was cut by the EDSA revolution. And unfortunately, the people who took over Marcos, the Aquino family, we had 2 Aquino presidents, but nothing happened except that the name of EDSA has been what you call, it's not really as sikat as it used to be, because the Aquinos have not helped the Filipino people in their 2 presidencies. And you've heard it here in Straight from the Sky. I'm Bobby Tavila. Thank you and good night.